Now, the Bhartiya Janata Party has weighed in and taken pot shots at the Congress party for having backed foreign-made vaccines during the COVID crisis.
Today, we've seen the video of the Pfizer CEO in Davos being exposed over the ineffectiveness of the Pfizer vaccines and being asked tough questions. But it reminds us of the time when political parties in India, particularly the Congress party, its leader Rahul Gandhi, likes of Jairam, Ramesh, and even likes of Arvind Kejriwal were batting for foreign-made vaccines. We remember the tweet of Arvind Kejriwal who said, and he quoted, that the Pfizer vaccines should be made available as soon as possible for the children. The Congress party too was batting for all kinds of relaxations to be given to the Pfizer vaccine. Today, shouldn't this entire ecosystem, which was openly batting for this, foreign-made vaccines and degrading the Indian-made vaccines, apologize and tell us what deal they had or what was the kind of motivation they had?
Now, the government of India had some very sound and cogent reasons for not actually giving authorization for the Pfizer vaccine to be distributed here in India. Principal among them is, of course, the fact that Pfizer had placed a series of conditions before the vaccine could be made accessible in India. Pfizer had also, in fact, said that the government needs to basically waive Pfizer of any responsibility in the event that the vaccines proved ineffective in the country. Basically asked the government of India to sign an indemnity law which protected Pfizer from any kind of prosecution under the provisions of Indian law in the event something was found wrong with the way in which the vaccine was administered, or for that matter, its lack of effectiveness. In case of any side effects or if somebody died, Pfizer would not be held responsible. That was one of the principal conditions that Pfizer had attached to its vaccine being circulated here in India. This also meant that the company could not be prosecuted under any provision of Indian law. The Indian government took a categorical stand against these conditions being imposed on the part of Pfizer and therefore decided not to give it authorization. It also meant that Pfizer would virtually be immune from any kind of prosecution under the provisions of Indian law. This was not acceptable to the Indian government. Let me in fact go across to Mayank as well, who's been tracking all the developments in this matter, especially the political reactions following that confrontational sequence that you saw in Davos. Mayank, the Indian government once again basically justifying its decision to not proceed with authorizing Pfizer for distribution of its COVID-19 vaccines in India because they were insisting that an indemnity clause be signed.
Well, absolutely, Siddharth. See, when India was in grip of the second wave of the pandemic due to Delta variant of the COVID-19 and coronavirus, then there were questions that why is Indian government not fast-tracking the introduction of the Pfizer vaccine? And then the word came from the health ministry that because Pfizer, the manufacturer of the vaccine, the Pfizer company wanted indemnity clause. What does it do to the business of the Pfizer? That it will not be liable for any any mishappenings that were to happen to any person who were to take the vaccine of Pfizer in order to protect themselves from COVID-19. The Indian government the government of India has a clear stand on this issue that any company, foreign or of Indian origin, who deals with the public health situation such as the COVID-19, they will have to face the repercussions if there has to be any, and the law of the land, and that was the point of